There is a science and a method to leadership. It's not rocket science. It's just that no one has ever helped you with that. You have only seen one or two role models who've been your past leaders.
Yeah.
तो आप सोचते हो कि मैं उनको replicate करूंगी, तो I'll end up being a good leader myself. The moment we learn to play with our problems, that's when solutions emerge. The moment I become tense, it's like a sponge. आप अगर स्पॉन्ज को टेंस कर दो, वो पानी अब्सॉर्ब नहीं करेगा. New perspectives won't come.
Yeah.
The moment you relax the sponge, you absorb a lot of perspectives. You absorb a lot of water, na?
Yeah.
We are like that. So I used to, in the evening, crib a lot to him. That, I'm not enjoying myself. A, I'm not a cribber. B, he told me either you quit or you stop cribbing. So it was a very clear thing, make a choice. That's when I started Catalyst. My father and my father-in-law were very upset because I had a nice, cushy job where I was working from home and all of that. And they said, do you have a plan? I said, not really. I have a name. Once you set the goal, I don't know how, but the resources will fall in place. You will always find the right tool, चाहे वो AI से मिल जाए, the right people. Those conversations will stand out and you'll connect with them. कि यार आप ये कह रहे थे, have you tried this? Can you tell me more about it? You talked about a nutritionist. Can you help me?
Yeah.
Because if you're focused on that goal, the right resources will automatically come to you. He looked very sad. He just looked at me and he said, आप Iron Man नहीं करोगे? Then he looked at me, नहीं आप करो ना मम्मा. You cannot demand anything from anyone. You have to inspire people to work. You can't say that I'm the chapter chair, so you have to do this. You committed this, so you better deliver this.
Here's something most companies won't admit. When they promote their best performer into a manager role, they already know the first 6 months are going to be rough. They've accepted that loss before even it happens. Preeti Agarwal didn't accept it. She spent 15 years trying to fix it. Preeti is the founder of The Catalyst, a leadership development company that uses something very different from the usual 2-day corporate workshop. She builds games, actual simulations where leaders make real decisions under pressure and then sit with the consequences, all within 90 minutes. Before this, she was at the Hindustan Unilever in sales and then at Accenture in strategy. She had the safe, comfortable career and she walked away from it with no plan, no clients, nothing except a name she liked. The Catalyst nearly died twice when a Supreme Court ruling wiped out her biggest client segment overnight, and again during COVID when every offline training in the country went to zero. But that's not what this conversation is really about. This is about when you spend your career teaching other people how to lead, and then life tests whether you've been listening to your own lessons. This is the story behind, featuring Preeti Agarwal.
Thank you for coming and making this happen. We know we've been chasing this for a very long time. And I know about what you do at The Catalyst. And I get your newsletters.
Okay.
So that's where I started to learn more about what's actually happening with each of the games that you do.
Okay.
But I want to start from the Accenture days actually, because you were part of their strategic team,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Looking at shareholder value.
Yeah.
And what made you switch to Catalyst?
Okay.
Yeah.
So first of all, thanks Ravneet for having me over, and my first podcast. So I'm excited. So actually, my career started with Hindustan Lever. At that time, it was called Hindustan Lever. It's now Unilever. I was in a sales role. So I used to work I started in Madhya Pradesh, then Bombay, then Delhi. And after that, I moved to Accenture in the strategy role. So I have done about 7 years in the corporate before I started Catalyst.
Okay.
Yeah.
So which year Catalyst was started?
Our registration happened in December 2009.
Okay.
But actually, we started work in, let's say, 2010 mid. Like Catalyst, formally, I started working on Catalyst. So why Catalyst? How it started?
Yeah.
So I was in a sales role. I moved to, like you said, a strategy and a finance role. So that was a very heavily finance dependent role. And it was not a client facing role. I really enjoyed going out.
Okay.
I had been given the option of working from home. At that time, I had a young baby, so I was working from home. but I wasn't excited about the work because I'm not the kind of person who enjoys myself sitting at home. And my husband is an entrepreneur, you know him, Sameer. So I used to, in the evening, crib a lot to him that, I'm not enjoying myself. A, I'm not a cribber. B, he told me either you quit or you stop cribbing. So it was a very clear thing, ke, make a choice. And he has this entrepreneurial thing. So he said, ki, you can be a, tu apna shuru kar, sort of a thing. So that's when I started Catalyst. My father and my father-in-law were very upset because I had a nice, cushy job where I was working from home and all of that. And they said, "Do you have a plan?" I said, "Not really. I have a name. It's called the Catalyst." And they said, "Ki, what are we going to do?" So that's how Catalyst started. It was quite impulsive.
And it's a very different. I'm calling it a different kind of a wisdom for people who attend your sessions. I have had that experience, but then the method of teaching was always the same.
No,
Through
no.
gamification
No.
that was different.
In fact, the industry was different. So Catalyst started as an employability assessment and training firm.
Okay.
We used to work with tier 2 colleges, tier 3 colleges, and in the first 3-4 years, we actually did very well. In the sense that we partnered with many colleges, we used to pre-assess their talent, pre-train them. Then we had tie-ups with companies where we would help them get hired. And good MNCs, kind of companies where these students will never get an opportunity. Like we used to hire for Pepsi, for GSK, like good brands. But then one of our biggest clients was ICFI Business School.
Okay.
And there was a Supreme Court ruling where a lot of colleges had to shut shop. ICFI was one of them. So I was saddled with a lot of bad debt. I remember there was a time when I couldn't pay salaries and everything. Money was dying. So Pepsi was one of the companies I used to hire for. There was a guy there. Maybe he's he's still there with Pepsi, called Mallada. So Mallada said, "Preeti, you anyway know how we hire. Why don't you do the induction training for us?"
Okay.
So I said, "ठीक है, let's do the induction." I was desperate for money. So I said, "Fine, whatever comes my way." We did that, and I realized this is a better market. People are more keen to learn. There's better money. Most importantly, people want to attend the session. So we got there. Then I realized कि यार 2-3 years I figured this is no fun because we are doing what everyone else is doing. Can we make it? And people are not really learning. So there's nothing sticky about what we are doing.
So they do the induction and then.
And then induction is also about,
back to square one.
हाँ कि चलो ठीक है, laptop मिल गया.
Yeah.
At least process समझ आ गया. But nothing much. So we said इसमें मजा नहीं आ रहा. So I went outside of India to figure out what's happening in international markets, and I partnered with a US company called Paradigm Learning, UK company. They had very interesting formats, so I licensed from them. But that also was very expensive for us because we were paying out in dollars and pounds, and it was not catered to the Indian market.
Okay.
It was the content was very, very non-Indian. Then we said, let's build our own games. This is not working out.
अच्छा ठीक है.
So our game building started fairly late. I think 16-17 is when we started building our own games.
Okay. And between 10 to 17 you were
All this.
between things, and I really liked what you said about the employability criteria, something to check if this person can be employed. That still is very relevant today.
Yes.
Maybe after COVID, or maybe after the rapid changes that we are seeing in AI today. What were the challenges back then? Because I know the challenges today.
So, there are just, I think, I don't know the statistics for today, but when I had started the business, there were like 3.5 lakh engineers passing out every year. And there, in spite of this huge number of people passing out of colleges every year, even my husband or a lot of people that I knew simply didn't find good talent in the market. And even if people were joining, they were not even trainable, forget about employable. So, many months were spent just getting them ready for the job. After that also, they would quit very easily because the expectation reality mismatch was there. So that was and I believe it's still a huge opportunity in the market. Yeah. Now with the advent of AI, like you rightly said, hopefully students are making the right use of AI. Not just using AI for very short-term tactical things, but really getting themselves industry ready. Because I know of a lot of people who now are venturing into employability building using AI,
Yeah.
and it's something that hopefully there is enough awareness among students, and they are using it in the right way. So it's not just about using GPT and Gemini. It's about using the right tool for the right reason.
So you've seen that cycle of, okay, checking the criteria if this person is even employable, to getting them inducted, and then you figured out a problem that laptop le liya, this that is done, and then this person has nothing
Correct.
to adopt the culture maybe, and then they try to navigate their own way, which could be insecure way to deal with it, or maybe being maybe very open, which is not needed. I don't
Correct.
know, or whatever imbalance that is. Uh, what interests you in doing it in a way that makes you get out of the bed and get this person achieve that? Is there a kick that you get?
Oh yes. So when I was with I'll tell you, when I was with Hindustan Lever, I was a sales manager. So I used to get like a monthly target to achieve. तो टारगेट अचीव करके मुझे उतना बड़ा किक नहीं मिलता था वर्सेस इफ समवन इन माय टीम गॉट अ प्रमोशन और समथिंग. सो एट दैट टाइम आई वाज नॉट मैरिड. आई यूज्ड टू लिव अलोन इन दिल्ली. सो मंडे टू फ्राइडे वर वर्किंग डेज. सैटरडे वाज अ नॉन वर्किंग डे. लेकिन सैटरडे आई वुड कलेक्ट ऑल माय सेल्स ऑफिसर्स एंड एवरीवन इन माय हाउस कि चलो आपको मैं हाउ टू क्रैक इंटरव्यूज बताती हूँ. आपका इंटरव्यू आने वाला है फॉर द नेक्स्ट जॉब रोल. तो वो परेशान होते थे या नहीं मुझे नहीं पता, बट आई न्यू इट हेल्प बिकॉज क्वाइट अ फ्यू ऑफ देम गॉट प्रमोटेड. मैं उनको इंग्लिश बोलना सिखाती थी,
ठीक है.
पीपीटी कैसे बनाते हैं. सो आई वाज अ कंपल्सिव ट्रेनर and I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed seeing the results of it. So that kida was always there. So when Catalyst happened, why did we go into training? Because that's me. So even today, my best days are the days when I'm conducting a program.
And what does your week look like a typical week at work?
Yeah, well, I end up traveling at least 2 days a week or something, 1 or 2 days in a week. I end up traveling outside of Delhi because there are programs happening all over.
Yeah.
A lot of time is spent in client interactions, either for business development or just understanding. Because every time we design a program, prior to that, there's a lot of understanding of the client's business. Sometimes we work the market with the client, like we would attend a meeting or go into the market and observe the client at work.
Yeah.
So there are 1 or 2 days that we spend there. And I have a very good team. So there's a lot of, calls that happen between us on a project or something of that sort. So that's how it is.
I was reading one of your newsletters, and it says that managers influence up to 70% of team management. Could you elaborate on what you observed in the corporate world that led you to this insight?
Okay, so there is this quote which you may have heard which says, people don't leave jobs, they leave their managers. They leave their bosses, right? So in a lot of cases, what we've seen in the corporate world is people are given the position of a manager simply because they're good in their current job. So someone is good in sales, so there's an assumption that he'll make a good manager. And once they become managers, they not only do you lose a good sales guy who was doing a great job, you also create a bad manager because he has never been told how to manage a team. हमें खुद काम नहीं करना है, हमें अब दूसरों से काम कराना है.
Right.
And he doesn't know how to do it. He or she simply doesn't know. ना वो perspective है that मुझे ऐसे काम, I have to change my way of working. And no one has really coached them or told them. And then, in fact, this is the genesis of the first game we ever built at Catalyst called the First Quarter, where we realized that while the 70% of the workforce is managed by first-time managers or young managers, these young managers have no clue how to do how to do the core of their job, which is managing people. And because of this, there's demotivation amongst the managers, their employees. Because of this, there is a huge impact on productivity and basically numbers, because numbers are not getting delivered. The first 6 months, it is assumed कि जब promotion होगा, उसकी तो he won't be able to deliver.
Okay.
Numbers won't happen.
Okay.
ये ऐसा एक assumption है.
Okay.
But we said why? Can we do something to make sure that the manager is up to speed whenever he or she gets promoted? And that's how we build the First Quarter. But I think this problem still pertains because all the monies in L&D get spent at the top. CXO को train कर दो, CXO -1 को train कर दो. That's where the money, senior managers को train कर दो. But the group that needs maximum investment is actually these young managers.
Is there any change that you've seen over the years between 2017 to now that are now companies spending money for, let's say, assistant managers or not just senior managers, or it's still the same?
So counterintuitively, the more traditional companies like PSUs, Maharatnas, they spend a lot of money on new managers.
Okay.
So there
Which
is
is
a
great.
proper, which is great. And the startups, the younger organizations who actually have a very young population anyway, the average age is very low. They are very reluctant in spending money on their youngsters,
Which is critical.
which is critical. Because even the top manager there is actually like a guy who's never really spent time
Yeah.
leading a team. So we have to first educate them a lot that, beyond these technical skills that you're learning, this is also important. So right now, for instance, we are working in 3 projects where the company is going for an IPO or has just gone for an IPO.
Okay.
And while they have spent a lot on, the compliances, the governance related to becoming a public company, the people readiness is not there. So
Okay.
people are still not ready on how to scale a business, on how
Yeah.
to lead a team under them.
Or they are unaware?
So we have to tell them, this is also important. Don't ignore this, because otherwise you will create a huge structure with a lot of money, too many marketing spends
Yeah.
here, there. But
Yeah.
your people are not ready to execute any of it. They don't know how to. So there is a big gap in the market.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially with startups.
So let's say someone who's not trained or haven't had that experience, and the companies also, they've assumed when an individual high performer would become a manager, there won't be results for the first 6 months, and they are ready to have that loss. But what are the challenges this individual faces?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. So I'll tell you a anecdote only, just so that it becomes obvious to us. I used to coach a girl. This girl was a sales manager in a tire company. Yeah. And she was a very good sales manager, hitting her targets quarter on quarter. Then she was promoted to the role of a manager. And she couldn't figure out why she could not deliver.
Okay.
Okay, neither could the company figure out, because she said, I'm overworked, I'm working more number of hours, I have a very good team with me, and I have the same products to sell. So मैं क्यों नहीं मैं पहले, and you have a winning streak, मैं quarter on quarter results deliver
Yeah.
कर रही थी. She herself had a lot of expectations from herself, and then she came into coaching. She did the craziest things. I mean, she tried everything, because one tries to do everything possible to, get the numbers.
Yeah.
But what she didn't understand was there is a science and a method to leadership. It's not rocket science. It's just that no one has ever helped you with that. You have only seen 1 or 2 role models who've been your past leaders.
Yeah.
तो आप सोचते हो कि मैं उनको replicate करूंगी, तो I'll end up being a good leader myself. But you are you, and you have a leadership style, and your team is unique. The business's context is unique, so you have to just know how to navigate that. So she really struggled. She contemplated quitting her job, even though she was a high performer. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. To that level of. Okay.
Because once you're a winner in your head, you've
Yeah.
never lost anything.
Yeah.
Padhai maybe academically you're brilliant. So, failing is
And
not
now you
an
have to
option.
delegate, and you see others are not performing, so maybe you are doing their work and then also pushing them and
Yeah,
maybe being
and-
rude. I don't know.
All kinds.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
behaviorally, and you're not proud of all that. कि मैं इतना push कर रही हूँ किसी को. Like
So
you're also
gradually you
regretting
start
it.
to feel.
You start feeling I'm not in the right place. This is not for me. You start looking out, but you don't need to do
Do
anything.
they doubt their own capabilities of becoming a manager, or do they blame the company of the culture?
Both. So 2 things happen. One is self-doubt. कि यार
It kicks in. I mean, it starts with a self-doubt.
it starts with
Okay.
self-doubt, or some people are very defensive in blaming. कि no, my team is bad, this area is bad, this product itself is bad. Yeah, anything. They will externalize the issue. But
Right.
neither is it you, nor is it that. It's just that you haven't been set up for success.
Very interesting. Yeah, I sense it because I get to read a lot and I know what can. It basically starts with a self doubt,
Yes.
and then you start to blame others that
Yes.
it's their issue and this and
Yeah,
that and
yeah.
all of it.
And it seeps
Wow.
into the company's culture. If you have like leaders being cynical, critical, then you know it makes the entire organization not a very positive place to work in.
And now that let's say AI coming in, um, I personally started using it in 2022, much early stages of beta testing and seeing what it is in our field of image generation, giving prompts to get a video out or voice syncing, etc. Basics. But now it has grown rapidly.
Yeah.
Every day there's a new news and a lot of automation is happening. A lot of layoffs are happening because of it. Jobs are also at risk, but AI is also helping companies make more money, having less people, high performing people only. Uh, any case study or any reference you have as of now, maybe with the companies that you work with, are if they are feeling something's off or they don't need more employees or these individual performers can maybe leverage AI and become managers. Anything has happened as of now?
So I think two, three things. I'll start with one. There are a lot of queries and a lot of trainings that we do where we are being told that can you help employees understand how to use AI in the flow of work? So whatever you are doing currently, how can you make it more efficient by using AI in the right way, at the right time, for the right reason? So
Okay.
that's a very common need that we get. So even in our design of our programs, earlier a lot of things that we asked them to do as a case study by discussing amongst themselves, now we tell them
Yeah.
get onto GPT live
Okay.
in our
Yeah.
program
Okay.
or get onto Gemini live in our program and tell us what you think by having a live chat.
Okay.
Tell us what you think would be a good way to approach this problem.
Okay.
So, because it's a live demonstration of the power of AI for the right thing. Don't get distracted with AI, but use it as a partner rather than as a distractor. So that's one very active query that we have very often, and it's impacting the design of our programs. The second thing that I hear is happening is that people are losing jobs, but frankly, I haven't seen that. I don't
Right.
know of organizations laying off people because AI has
Also,
come.
just AI is like AI. I mean, it's intelligence, but if a human is feeding that intelligence, it also depends on what they are
What is
feeding.
being fed?
If there's insecurity, the prompt is also sound insecure,
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
result would be something else.
Yes.
Anything that happened maybe in one of the games where you felt, or is there an is does that help you navigate a personality or a character of this person who's prompting, or do they prompt as a team?
No, no. So prompting happens individually. And the most common thing that we notice is one prompt, first answer is assumed to be the correct insight.
They're
So
not
we,
digging deeper.
so we tell
Okay.
them, I mean, the most common thing we tell them is ask AI itself that is this the best response you could have given me? That is a good enough prompt for AI to think on its own and say, hey, I see these three gaps in the way
Yeah.
I've responded to you. And then they probe deeper and they realize that the first answer is usually not the best answer. But all our prompts are individual. And it's usually quite empowering for the employee to understand that, oh, I mean, people have after the program said that, oh, I can use AI so well to to schedule my day. I didn't know that. Or to create a learning plan for myself for the month, मुझे नहीं पता था. So now I can do this, which I've currently never thought कि मैं AI के through कर सकता था using AI. So all that is happening. And to me, in our business, if we are smart, if we know how to use it, AI can be a big push rather than a threat. It's up to us how we use it well.
Right.
So my team has gotten trained twice now on AI by experts themselves on how we can move forward, because if we don't do that, then I think we'll also be outdated very soon.
Yeah. Likewise, I mean, every day we plan to do something and then we also hear about a new tool coming up. So, year 22-24 was very aggressive. Now we've slowed down and we are, because we are aware of what's happening, but we're not being very aggressive as of now. Because every day in our industry specifically, every day
There's a new
there's
tool.
a new tool. So, because you hear of Gemini, GPT, but when you read the details of what they actually do is more of how accurate they've become in image generation,
Yes.
video generation, and all of it. So we know now it's there, and then we're leveraging it as much as we can.
I know you guys are.
Yeah,
Even for
yeah.
us, when you have done the work, you
Yeah.
have, I think, educated us on how.
Right, and that
AI
was
can be so
a year
powerful.
ago.
Yeah, that was a year ago.
that was a
Correct.
year. It's gone wild.
Even better.
Before we move further, I want to know that you've been also working towards nation building, empowering others, going to schools and colleges, talking about road safety or organ donation and other aspects, coming to the young Indians part.
Yeah.
How does that connect with what you do, or is that something different? Was that just for passion that you do, or is it something that you've learned at the Catalyst by meeting other people? Is there a connection between the two?
See, there is Catalyst, and there is the way that I contribute to the brand Catalyst, and I think Young Indians is a part of my contribution to the brand Catalyst. How? So, of course, there is the social side of this work, building awareness about organ donation, road safety. But interestingly, whenever I go to schools or go to colleges, I learn a lot about how these youngsters are thinking. I'll give you an example. I visited an engineering college, and there was this guy who told me that he has attended one class in his whole semester,
Okay.
and his GPI was probably, maybe he was the topper, like
Okay.
really good. So I asked him, "How do you manage?" So he showed me his ChatGPT feed, and he said, "Ma'am, students get a free login." And he was asking GPT constant questions, and GPT was giving him answers
Yeah.
according to his learning need, what he wanted to learn in his engineering.
Okay.
He said, मैं 1 घंटा 1.5 घंटा क्लास में लगाऊंगा, मुझे 15 मिनट में मैम वो समझ आ जाता है जो मुझे पता करना है. I learned that back to Catalyst team कि boss, this is how the youngsters are learning.
Yeah.
Their way of learning is changing. If we expect them to sit in a classroom for 8 hours and learn, we are outdated in another 5 years.
Yeah.
We are not going to have a business. So it's both ways. It helps me learn as a person, and it helps Catalyst. But how it started was nothing to do with Catalyst, Ravneet, honestly. I just had I always had a need to contribute back, and Young Indians gave me a brilliant platform. Not just in contributing back, but the kind of people I've met. You're part of Young Indians, you
Yeah.
know this. It's a very diverse group of people, and everyone has a story which is so inspiring.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Because it's so broad, diverse, from rural communities to schools, colleges, and then so many projects and initiatives that we do at Young Indians. You led the chapter for a year,
yeah.
and we had about 100 members, let's say 90 to 100, 105, and then we had so many leaders leading the projects and initiatives. Were you using your methods, and you saw any growth happening, or what happened when? So at Young Indian, it's not a corporate environment.
Correct.
It's a voluntary
Yeah.
thing. You become a member and you come forward. If you don't, so let's say you wake up this morning and you decide you don't want to do anything on road safety. Today you want to go for a movie. It's fine to do. It's not like a
Yeah.
corporate task.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So how does your learnings through corporates, your personal learning, you've always been a trainer naturally,
yeah.
has helped maybe the members that you meet now, and how did you navigate that diversity? That's the most critical, because we're not just talking about just schools. Even let's say just schools, then road safety, accessibility, health, innovation, AI, entrepreneurship, the factory visits, there's so many things, and then dealing with so many people.
Yeah.
What was that 1 year? Or let's just make it very simple. What was that 1 year for you?
I think I evolved a lot as a person. First of all, like you rightly said, all our members are voluntarily in Young Indians. You cannot demand anything from anyone. You have to inspire people to work. You can't say that I'm the chapter chair, so you have to do this. You committed this, so you better deliver this. And everyone is also doing many other roles. Young Indians is not the only thing that they're doing. So to be able to inspire others and get them to want to do something, that was my biggest learning. Biggest learning by far. all kinds of personalities. You know, there were people with very young children, different stages of life, plus people with different ways of working and ways of thinking, you know, to work as per their needs. I think that really changed me as a person, and very visibly. Second
Yeah.
was ability to manage time and prioritize. I think I learned how to say no, when to say no, how to draw boundaries.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you get pulled into so much. There is obviously, you know, your business, your family, your children, plus there is Young Indians, which is like 10 other things together.
Yeah.
So you really learn how to draw boundaries. So first 3-4 months I really struggled. Then I think I spoke to a few seniors at Young Indians and they said, listen, just draw your boundaries, learn to say no. So I started practicing that.
Yeah. Any game or activity that was developed at the Catalyst after Young Indians, during Young Indians, that you felt, yaar, ye to humne hi nahi kiya. Maybe, I don't know. Just because it's so broad.
Yeah. So, not that we developed any game or anything, but a lot of things that are part of a game, you know, I would consciously or unconsciously use. Like, we use a lot of personality frameworks where we map people according to their colors. So, at that time, my chair was Gaurav, and my later on, my co-chair was Ankush. So with Gaurav, though, I actually told him about personality tools, and I told him, see, this guy is this. This won't work with him. Try and do this. And with Ankush also, I would constantly map my entire leadership team. Ke, you know, this will work. And Ankush is very intuitive anyway.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you know Ankush.
Yeah, I know Ankush.
So he said, "Haan, pata hai." You know.
Nice.
So yeah, subconsciously I was using a lot of stuff, and it
Yeah.
was fun
Which is
also,
needed.
which is needed, 100%. And now it has become a part of how we work. Like, you know, we don't have to consciously use anything because we
Yeah.
do it so often. It happens.
So I was reading about it, and you've also mentioned this today, that it's not about, the issue is never in the talent. It's in the transition
Yeah.
from an individual to becoming a manager or whatever post then they climb up to. And you also told us it's a scientific method. How did you discovered it? You read about it, or was there a moment of realization before you even dive deeper into it? What's the science behind it? How did you discover it?
So, there is no doubt in my mind, Ravni, that my biggest training ground was Unilever. And there were some very powerful programs that I attended as a participant. One was called DLE, Developing Leadership Engagement.
Okay.
I think that was transformative for not just me, I think for the entire organization. A lot of people at Unilever still remember it and talk about it. That really helped us understand that leadership is important, because a lot of us put so much focus on functional skills
Yeah.
that we don't understand the human side of every being. Every person is finally a human that you're trying to work with, right? And secondly, it gave us a lot of method, that it's not by chance or incidental. Leadership doesn't just happen. You know, there's a method to it. So I think from there that Kida began, that, you know, let me understand this more, because I'm not a student of psychology. I'm not trained like that. I haven't studied HR, nothing.
Okay.
But that started with Unilever. And after that, whenever I would see an employee struggle in my team also, I would tell them, it's not so difficult. Come, let's sit together. So I used to first engage in one-on-one conversations. Then I started doing group settings. कि 5 लोग आ जाओ, चलो बात करेंगे. You know,
Okay.
let's talk
Okay.
about this.
ठीक है.
Delegation की बात करते हैं, कुछ भी.
ठीक है.
And I love to read. So I read a lot. Slowly I saw कि मैं fiction से हटके अब non-fiction में चली गई हूँ.
What topics? Non-fiction.
So all kinds of, so Malcolm Gladwell is a very big inspiration for me. I love all his books, and I apply a lot of what he's written. I would collect my team together, and after reading a book, tell them कि इस book में ये है. Then I would gift a book to everyone. No one ever read those books.
Yeah.
At least I don't think so. No one came into. In fact, if anything, they would think कि ये मैम हमें book क्यों पढ़ाती रहती हैं हर वक्त पढ़ने के लिए. But the whole process of learning from a book and then applying it in practice, that became even like these days I'm reading a lot of biographies of, because I'm now into cycling.
Yeah.
So a lot of athletes. There's so much from sports that is relevant to us in leadership.
Right.
So I've always then found a reason to read a new book. And somehow I get introduced to the right books. I meet someone will suggest a book, or just I have a few friends who just gift me a lot of books. My house is full of books.
Yeah.
My house is like overflowing right now with books.
Because the more people you meet at these sessions, everybody has a personality, and then you need some sort of framework to bring them
Yes.
to one frequency
Yes.
and then
Yes.
begin
Yes.
the training.
See, Ravneet, we are anyway reading people.
Yeah.
We are compulsive people readers. You meet
Yeah.
me, within 10 seconds, you've read me.
Yeah.
Subconsciously, we've done that. We tell people, don't leave it to your subconscious, bring it to your conscious. Find a way to read it which is more accurate, which is
Yeah.
more intentional, and which can
Yeah.
help you.
Right.
So I tell my kids also, they're very young, but I say you've already formed an impression of a singer or of a rapper.
Yeah.
You haven't even met. So see how compulsive it is. Ki you have to read someone. Can you make it a little more intentional to help you? So that's how my son got interested in psychology. So he's studying psychology now. Though I never
Wow.
got a chance. Now I
Yeah.
tell him that when you do your core courses, send me
Yeah.
all the books.
Nice. Yeah.
I'll read them. He says, what a nerd you are, mama.
And you have this very unique way of teaching through the gamification and through your games. Can you walk us through how playing a game helps people? I
Yeah.
mean, do they drop their guards because they're playing a game, or are they more open to receiving feedback while playing this game?
Absolutely. So we call it discovery learning, Ravneet.
Okay.
See, as adults, if you try and tell me something, I'm not a very, very receptive learner. In fact, if anything, I'm a defensive learner.
Okay.
Like I would typically not agree with you easily. कि नहीं मैंने तो ऐसे इसलिए करा था क्योंकि आपने कहा था, or I would externalize it. But the moment I'm taking decisions without any prompt or pressure from the outside and doing it in a playful way,
Yeah.
later on when you sit down to reflect, you're far more open-minded and you discover on your own कि हाँ, maybe under stress I tend to become like this, or I
Yeah.
get stuck in a rut, or I'm too assertive, or I'm too people focused and become people pleasing and forget about business, or I'm so business focused that I forget about people. तो वो खुद ही discover करते हैं.
Okay.
So our games are designed in such a way that there is a learning outcome. कि हाँ, this game is for negotiation or for collaboration or for trust or leadership. But we don't tell them anything about how to build trust or how to be a good leader before the game.
Okay.
The game is the setup.
Yeah.
Then we have a discussion on, okay, think about how you played this game. In certain cases, if the game is online, they get a report, which is an AI generated report, so it can't lie. Based on how you played the game, here is what the tool is telling you.
Yeah.
And 90% of the time they see it and they say, that's true. Then, so, or if there is no online game, we give them, time to reflect individually. And then when they fill it up themselves, they say, ye to hai. Then we ask them, does this happen at work also? Usually they'll find a real situation at work jahan aisa ho raha hai. We call this connections. So you're connecting the game simulation to your real workplace. At that moment, we tell them, okay, next time this happens, here's a framework that will help you. So if you
Okay.
get stuck in a rut, and this is happening in this particular case at work, so here's a tool that can help you think in a more holistic or a diversified manner.
Okay.
ये एक tool है. तो then
Yeah,
now the tool is relevant to them कि हाँ चलो I'm
Yeah.
interested. Rather than sitting in a session जहाँ हमने कोई ज्ञान दे दिया, एक tool होता है, वो कहेंगे
Yeah.
हाँ जी अच्छा होता है, मैं क्या करूँ? मेरी तो
Yeah.
वैसे भी life अच्छी चल रही है.
Yeah. Actually. Right.
So it's good to know in theory, but
Yeah.
big
And
deal.
this game is like 90-minute.
Yeah,
2
typically.
hour.
Typically, a game time would be 60 to 90 minutes, not more than that.
And once they know about themselves and there's a tool, is there a follow-up session which
Yes.
you do or companies ask you to do and then you see a change?
Yes. So 70% of our business is a journey where, there's something that happens before the game gets played, the game gets played, and after the game is played, we would do a lot of assimilation, reflection. We call it peer learning. So they learn from one another.
Okay.
We will just moderate a session where they're saying, we tried this, we tried giving feedback like this. या हमारा appraisal season आ रहा था, हमने ऐसे goal setting करके देखा.
Okay.
This is what worked, didn't work. But yes, there is a needle movement. In fact, recently I met a client of ours in the beverage industry where we worked with their senior managers. And she told me that we had trained 90 people in their company last year and we were with them for a good 6 months. Like there was a journey of 6 months. She said we have a 98% retention of that talent and 30% of them have got promoted. So I was like that is where
Yeah.
we get really happy because getting good feedback on sessions we will get क्योंकि आप game खिला रहे हो तो कोई बुरा क्यों ही बोलेगा.
Yeah.
But when we
There's a
see
real
some
impact.
business
Yeah.
impact happening,
Wow.
then we feel
Wow.
really proud.
Any aha moments you wanna share that you notice during the games?
There are so
And then-
many aha moments in the games. People like every time there is, in fact, games like first quarter. Every time we've deployed it, people think we built it for their company because they say ये तो बिल्कुल मेरे साथ ऐसा ही हो रहा है.
Okay. Yeah.
And then we say, no, this is how, the world works. There was one particular session that my partner Raghu and we did this session with a company where we played the game called Maximize on collaboration. The brief we had got was group of very talented people, but like any very high ambitious and talented group, they're not working well together. So the session was in a place called Akurdi near Pune, very remote place. There was no phone connection.
Okay.
So we had been given, there was a plan for us to do a half-day session. So we had been given a half-day session and we finally ended at 7:30 in the night when the bonfire had begun. And the conversation continued around the bonfire. Okay, why did we do this in the game and how this is happening at work and how we can be a much better team. And the fact that it was an outdoor setting and there was no distraction because of the phone
Yeah.
brought them all together. And they still, those participants still remember us, keep reaching out to us. So we've had a lot of these, and that's where I think all of us enjoy ourselves so much.
Yeah.
Those sessions are just so immersive for us also.
I'm sure. I'm sure. And then your Ironman journey is very inspiring, and I came
Yeah.
to know about it in detail. Like we met yesterday, and that you were telling that how the doctors comment unknowingly or sarcastically that you won't be able to maybe cycle or run for even 5 kilometers led you to take up something so challenging, and then you finished it even when you had no experience in swimming or maybe zero learning or lesser swimmer that you were a year or 18 months ago, and all of it coming together while I was listening to it. How does it connect with leadership? I know it's about pushing boundaries,
Yeah.
but is it also for leaders that they always have to keep pushing boundaries because our environment is changing rapidly, or let's say if a company is seeing a lot of growth and their teams are expanding, then of course they need to push this daily. And how does this habit of training every day helps you? I mean, is there a connection? Because you just mentioned that sports has a lot
Yes.
to
Yes.
teach us in
Yes.
leadership,
100%.
and this all, let's say, it's fall under sports.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
What's your take on it?
See, Ravneet, I can go on and on about this, but I think 2-3 things that I want to say. Number one, I feel that we always underestimate ourselves. All of us, me included. Like today, yesterday, I met Rachit, who's a full Ironman. He said, Preeti, when are you doing the full Ironman? My first response, Rachit, mujhse to nahi hoga. And then I thought about it. Why am I saying this? Like a year back, I was telling myself, mujhse half Ironman nahi hoga, and I've done it, right?
Yeah.
All of us always underestimate ourselves. The moment we set up a challenging goal, I think our brain wires itself to believe that I have to work to this goal. पहला कदम ही नहीं लेते. We never set a challenging goal. We are so okay with status quo कि ठीक चल तो रहा है, ठीक है, I'm getting my salary and every life is good.
Yeah.
Second is, once you set the goal, I don't know how, but the resources will fall in place. You will always find the right tool, चाहे वो AI से मिल जाए, the right people. Those conversations will stand out and you'll connect with them. कि यार आप ये कह रहे थे, have you tried this? Can you tell me more about it? You talked about a nutritionist. Can you help me?
Yeah.
Because if you're focused on that goal, the right resources will automatically come to you. And of course, I cannot say this enough, the role of discipline. You, in this hyper distracted world in particular,
Yeah.
the ability to stay focused on one thing, or at least one period in your day, maybe an hour where you say that I'm going to focus on one thing alone. without looking at WhatsApp or whatever, ChatGPT or whatever it is.
Yeah.
That is a struggle. I think I struggle with that. My husband struggles with it. My kids struggle with it. But we try to, be focused on one thing only for an hour. It could be sports. I find that it's a very good thing for me to focus on. For someone else, it could be meditation or music or I don't know, whatever works for whoever else. I think those are the things that it has taught me, and it is part of me now. Like, I cannot now say that, okay, I'm going to take a break from fitness because it's become a part of my way of being.
Yeah.
It's like I brush my teeth every day.
How does it connect with leadership development overall? Or would you now suggest other leaders that you know or in your circle to maybe pick a goal like this?
Yes, exactly. So for me, the goal was Ironman. For someone else, the goal could be something else. It may be related to, fitness or not. Maybe it's related to painting. Maybe it's related to your corporate world only. But like whenever we work with corporates and we ask them, what's your business goal? That's the first question we'd always ask. Why are you doing this program? What's the business goal? They give us a number, 20% growth or, whatever, anything that they say. We always ask them, why is it 20? Have you thought through it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And if a corporate tells us it's 3x, we still challenge them. But why is it 3x? Have you thought through it? So,
Okay.
the ability to challenge yourself. If I have a coaching session with someone, it always starts with goal setting. And if someone says, there's a quote in Alice in Wonderland which says, if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you don't have a goal, whatever you do is good enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you have a goal, then you have the road has to emerge, na? Tabhi to agar maine-
Right. How do you align that goal also? That's what I wanted to also ask. That maybe you picked Ironman as a goal. I don't know if, let's say, if I pick it, I don't know if it's good for me or not. How do you? Is there a way to align it, or was there a time where you felt कि I thought of doing it? You're feeling good about it, but maybe it's not for you. Not in a way that you're not able to follow the discipline or the
Yeah,
methods.
correct. I get you.
But maybe you feel like, nahi yaar, this is not I wanted to do. Maybe I want to do
Yes.
skydiving.
Yeah, so for example, for me also, one of the other goals that I set for myself was I want to lose 7-8 kgs of weight. But that was not inspiring to me. The goal has to inspire you. You have to, you won't believe it, Ravneet, in the last 2 months of Ironman training, I would dream of the finish line.
Okay.
Even when I was running in that heat and I was like, oh my God, I've got another 10 kilometers to run. Not once did I think, कि यार मैं give up कर दूं. Whenever
Okay.
I was feeling challenged, the only thing in my head was, imagine the finish line, Preeti. Imagine the finish line, Preeti.
Wow.
Imagine that feeling that you'll have, and that feeling is something that no one can take away from
That
you.
came naturally.
Yeah.
Because of,
That goal was inspiring. कि मैं finish line पे होंगी, I'll have that feeling. Someone else may have a feeling about weight loss. कि imagine how you would look, So it has to inspire you. Like my son works out, who was the most indisciplined character in my house, works out every day. And I tell him, what helps you get locked in, Ishan? And he says, I just want to look good. If that's the inspiration, then that's the inspiration.
yeah.
He
yeah.
has to, he wants to feel proud of his body.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's locked in, man. The day he got that goal.
So you had this serious goal, and you started your Ironman journey, and then you have 2 sons, and one of them met with a serious accident. So you had to give more attention anyway.
Yeah.
That's very natural for a mother
Yeah.
to do. And then you picked up Ironman again because your son was curious that why you're not continuing it. Can you share that instance and why that was critical?
So I was originally supposed to do Ironman in Vietnam in November last year.
Yeah.
I had registered for it. I was preparing for it. We were a bunch of friends who were supposed to go. My son met with an accident and I had to cancel that registration. And I thought in my head that, okay, let me forget about Ironman. I'm anyway getting fitter.
Yeah.
It's just a medal, so forget about it, Preeti. But my son, one day he just asked me, so when are you going to Vietnam? I said, Beta, I won't be doing Ironman. He didn't realize that, because I was caregiving, I could not travel. He looked very sad. He just looked at me and he said, "Aap Ironman nahi karoge?" Then he looked at me, "Nahi, nahi, aap karo na, mama." So then I felt really bad that, he should not feel that I'm not doing
Yeah.
something, or he cares so much for my goal.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, "ठीक है बेटा, मैं करूँगी."
Do you think your discipline was also helping him increase his willpower to heal? Does
Actually,
that?
maybe the other way around. When I saw him healing, being so resilient, it really helped me also to say, ki, despite of all this pain, he's still sitting up. He's eating his food. So though it gave me a lot of pain, I was always awestruck by his resilience. How kids are. I mean, if I imagine myself in the bed like that, maybe I would have become very bitter and all. But this kid was just cheerful every day. Like there were obviously moments of, cribbing and all. But रोज हंसता था, रोज मूवी देखता था, खी करता था. I was like, what a boy. I said, why am I cribbing about this, man, when this guy in the bed is not cribbing? So I
Yeah,
said, ठीक है बेटा,
yeah.
I'll do the Ironman. Called up my coach. He said, here's the next event.
Yeah.
I'll get you ready. So
We were just talking about ki how the slowdown is happening, and I would say entrepreneurship is tough. Not tough as in you can't do it or you feel very overwhelmed. Not like that. It's about if you understand the process, it starts with marketing, leading to sales. And if you've done a sale, then you go to operations, depending on what industry you, how many operations, whatever. Then you come to accounting of, let's say, sale purchase, giving salaries to your teams. Then I would say R&D is critical aspect. Human resources a critical aspect, and then management comes in place to manage all of it and how everything functions. What's the most significant uh, challenge or a wipeout that you faced as an entrepreneur at the Catalyst? Because you started with Hindustan Lever, you went to Accenture, and this was your first phase as an entrepreneur where you also got a setback
yeah.
for some time, and
Yeah.
where you pivot into learning what we're doing now. What do you feel when you think of the functions in your own company? Are these challenging? Do you find these challenging? How do you navigate it basically through this cycle of marketing to sales operations?
So I talked about the first challenge, which was way back when we were into employability training. COVID was another very challenging period for us because prior to that, we were only into offline games. So we only
Yeah.
had board games.
Yeah.
And all offline trainings stopped, and we had to move our simulations online. So two places where I have I've seen business like really struggle. Even during COVID, I think for 6 months our revenue was like zero. When I say zero, it was zero. We weren't billing anything to clients at all. So two things that I would say is, number one, we've always made sure that we are spending enough on research, building new games, reading consumers, understanding learner trends kya hai, what are the new L&D themes that are emerging.
Yeah.
That effort and money we don't cut down on. Because otherwise, as a learning organization, how can we stay relevant? We can't keep teaching people situational leadership when it's an outdated concept now, right? And I think the second thing is that, we make sure that our team stays intact. My team is very carefully curated. Each person has a role to play. I can't afford to lose these people.
Yeah.
And not everyone works for money, frankly, Ravneet. People work for the learning that you give them, the experience of being in the company. So, not dilute that experience. Make sure that there's constantly something challenging being offered to them. They are not disengaging at work. These two things I've always maintained. Everything else sort of falls in place if I
Yeah.
take care of these two things.
Anything that you, any time, maybe COVID or the previous one or now, or maybe not as COVID was for everybody, so everybody was navigating into what to do next or how to deal with it. So not specifically to COVID, anywhere apart from COVID or inclusive of COVID, where you truly felt that you are being tested and you had your own reserves, maybe at some stage where you came out of it? Anywhere, anything that happened? Because we're talking about the wisdom that we give to the participants or these corporates who come to us and play these games. Was there anything like a lightning moment for you?
See, I've talked about these two moments, but let me also share. After COVID, business really picked up fast for us. And that's when Young Indians also happened, if you remember.
Yeah.
So at that time, I was really struggling with time, bandwidth. Yeah, like I felt like I was pulled in all directions. Fatigue आ रहा था, burnout सा feel हो रहा था that I'm constantly like running, like on a treadmill which never stops, sort of a thing. I think at that point, one of the things that I learned was to really delegate. Like I've done sessions, maybe hundreds of sessions on delegation, which has been very tactical. But empowering others, that's when Raghu came into my business as the CEO. For me to step back, hand over to him, even though I knew ke kya karna chahiye. Yeah, I had very easy answers to a lot of things that were happening. Ki if I speak to this one, this thing will happen.
Yeah.
But to step back and let him feel the grind, maybe lose business once or twice, allow him to fail, allow the team to struggle a little bit. Ki where is Preeti? She's vanished.
Yeah.
We have she was like the pillar who was supporting. So that was a big change, and now I can say confidently that in fact last year we are closing numbers which are the highest ever for Catalyst without me. So I'm telling my team that maybe I was the barrier and you guys needed me out of the system to really fly.
Yeah.
Very proud of them. But yeah, that was a transition जो थोड़ा सा tough था मेरे लिए, to empower, not delegate tasks. वो तो मैं हमेशा करती थी. But really, even when something wrong is happening, to stand back and just watch it, वो थोड़ा मुश्किल था.
I wanted to ask you something, but I now actually want to ask something else. What do you think if these corporates don't get these trainings at all, not through you or not through anybody else, what would happen? है ना? That way, because while we are giving this training, we are also experiencing, our reserves. I just thought,
I think
what would the world would look like, or the corporate world would look like?
No, I think we also spend a lot on our own training वैसे.
Yeah.
We get certified a lot. Ravneet, मुझे लगता है we are again wired to learn. We are a very resilient species. हम सीख जाते हैं. चाहे हम रो के सीखें, चाहे हम जल्दी सीखें, चाहे हम देर से सीखें.
Yeah.
We have a huge survival instinct. So corporates will survive, maybe bleed more,
Yeah.
maybe suffer a little bit more, maybe have more attritions, have a bigger loss of productivity.
Yeah.
But things do happen. What we are here for is to bring efficiency into the system. Why suffer so much?
Yeah. Because you
us-
mentioned like they assume like some of
so
them.
trial and error,
Yeah.
ये करके
They don't want to experiment or spend money on their learning. And yeah.
See, Ellen, like this year, we were just talking about this, Ravneet. This is a tough year. The geopolitical situation is like that. The first budget that gets cut is learning. Training budgets are down. I've heard this now from so many of our clients.
Yeah.
So I believe that, maybe this should be the last budget to be cut, because your people are the people who are going to bring you out of any tough spot or out of a recession. But that's how budgeting gets done in any corporate. This is one of those discretionary spends. वो accounting में भी इसको discretionary spend लिखा जाता है, miscellaneous में लिखा जाता है, एक training budget है, तो वो हटा दो.
ठीक है.
So,
Yeah.
but some corporates, they don't. जहाँ leader has seen the real benefit of training, they stay with us. कुछ ऐसे clients हैं who we know will keep working with us. So business will happen.
It's a good mindset to know, because we fall in the marketing category. So then people say marketing has to go down.
Yes.
Sales operations has always been the focus. More
Sales
on sales.
number one.
Yeah.
Sales is number one.
And then because if sale is happening, operations has to be done,
होगा.
and accounting keeps
साथ में चलता रहेगा.
brings them together.
Right.
I'll read something because I was reading your newsletter, and it's something that you believe that promotions recognize past results. Yeah. and preparations determines the future ones, and that's what we were just speaking of. What does this future focused leadership look like? Let's say companies are going to cut off their budgets, but the ones who sustain or those who know the importance, what does this look like for them?
So you're asking what would future focused leadership look like?
Yeah.
Leadership, Ravneet, in post-COVID era in the last maybe 4-5 years has changed so much. Thanks to AI, thanks to the advent of social media, you know, the pressure that it creates for a leader to show up as a certain kind of person, you know, on
Okay.
LinkedIn, on Instagram,
Yeah.
you know, in front of their team in town halls. Um, I think the most important thing in today's leadership is just being authentic.
Yeah.
Even if you're failing, be real about it.
Yeah.
If you're struggling, be real about it. This year is a tough year. Don't pretend to be the hero who's constantly has the right answers. Of course, be agile. Learn,
Yeah.
experiment, try new things. But some experiments are bound to fall. I think the ability to just say, ki, haan, boss, I didn't figure it out this time. Those leaders who will be able to manage that without any apprehensions or fear. I think that is the most important way to stay sane, even at your own personal level. And people relate to it, yeah. People open up when you're authentic, when you say that, okay, I'm as human as you are.
Yeah, that's something else that you're touching upon, because when social media came in place, people developed two personalities because they
Yes.
had no idea how to be social digitally,
Yeah.
how to be social when you meet somebody, and how to be how who you are as a
Yeah,
person
yeah,
in
yeah,
general.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
then we maybe got conscious of the personalities
Yes.
and maybe managed somehow. But what now you're saying is authenticity is the way,
Yeah.
which of course it is. Otherwise, you're going to crash
Yeah, yeah.
of the geopolitical issues and all of it, and all of it coming together, and with AI coming on top
Yes,
of
on
it,
top of
and
it.
so much learning.
So much
Yeah,
uncertainty.
so much uncertainty, right? But then, what does back to my question? What does this future focused leadership look like? You mean just be authentic?
See, be
What?
agile. I think that's a
Okay.
very important thing. Be agile in your business model. Be agile in the kind of markets you're reaching out to, the kind of customers you're. You just said that we are now focusing on Indian clients. We are also reaching out to clients who, whatever employee size companies that we would usually not work with. We are reaching out to them.
Yeah.
Our marketing strategy is looking different. We used to
Yes.
market a certain way, but now we want to market differently. So being agile is important. But where authenticity comes is not all our experiments will succeed. We'll fail. We will reach out to the wrong clients or spend
Yeah.
money in the wrong place. Be
Okay.
authentic about the failures and say, hey, boss, okay, I made a mistake. I don't want to stay with this mistake for long. I will move on, try something new. And that's how, because your team is also going to fail, na? So they will
Right.
also then
Right.
authentically tell you, कि boss मुझसे नहीं हो रहा या ये गलत कर दिया मैंने, whatever it is. So that's when the real picture comes.
Back to the quote, just pressing it because I just want to see the difference of what would happen or what happens, because you deal with both sides. A company which calls you for a sales meeting but do not plan to go ahead,
Yeah, yeah.
and maybe not with anybody else also, they say this is not needed and they don't have budget for it, compared to somebody who hires you or somebody and does this learning training and leadership training for their managers and employees in general. What's the difference in terms of growth or culture? That's actually the real question,
Ah,
because when you say that your promotions are recognized on the past results, but now
yeah.
what happens once you're promoted is going to come on to your learning.
Yeah,
If a
yeah,
company is not spending or this
yeah.
person is not learning
Yeah.
through
Yeah.
their environment, maybe in situation, uh, maybe tier 2 city 3, or even in cities where we are today, what's the difference in their growth or uh, in their culture?
I think 2-3 things, and I'm thinking of real companies that we are working with right now. One is there is a culture of fail safe. It's safe to fail. So go ahead, and therefore there's more innovation. Okay, there are more ideas shared.
Yeah.
yeah, there is more ideas taken to pilot execution at least. So we can see that in organizations jahan fail safe culture set hua hai, and creating a fail safe culture is a lot about leadership, is a lot
Yeah.
about how leaders are leading.
Yeah.
So if you're investing in your leaders, that culture is getting built. Yeah. Second is the ability to stay execution focused, because it's, the intent may be right with a lot of leaders, but the ability to bring it to action, create a roadmap of every day हमें क्या क्या करना है.
Yeah.
How do I conduct a meeting now? I've been conducting meetings a certain way. In this context, the tone of the meeting has to change, the
Yeah.
way I am goal setting has to change. पहले all goals were set on end results. Can I set goals on processes? So we can see that shift also. Companies who work with us, they're able to look at it in a different way. Everyday processes, can I redefine it and change it differently? Which leads to better retention of talent, which leads to better growth, productivity enhancement. चलो result आएगा, कम से कम अभी हमने process set कर लिया. So in a lot of the work that we are even doing right now, the leadership journeys that we are doing right now, or even the games we are building right now, Ravneet, because our games are built on market feedback.
Yeah.
What people are asking us.
Yeah.
These are the two themes that are emerging. Like right now, we are building a game on emotional intelligence for a leader,
Okay.
because that is a huge part of being authentic. That is a huge part of being real. Being okay with all emotions. Failure happens. I'm stressed. I'm anxious. I'm this. I'm that. How can I still stay centered as a leader? So that's one game we are developing. We are looking at developing a game on the art of discipline.
Okay.
It is,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it is about building habits. And
Yeah.
AI is a big supporter. You can really use AI to build the right habits, to nudge you in the right direction, set up reminders that nudge you, and give you intelligent reminders.
Yeah.
Like if there's a particular
Yeah.
task that I've told myself, मुझे रोज करना है और मैं कर रही हूँ, and AI notices that trend, what is the next nudge it gives you?
Yeah. Very
Based on the
interesting.
person I
Yeah.
am, based on my habits, based on my goals. Rather than me relying on my intelligence to give me the next nudge, AI बड़े interesting nudges देता है.
Then your company, The Catalyst, is building a legacy wherever you are doing these trainings. Do you see that happening? I'm just asking, maybe.
See, there
Maybe
is,
not.
I can be very forthright and honest in saying that our games and the learning stick. There's no doubt about it. People remember. People remember after years also. There are times when Raghu and I are stopped at the airport and we are asked, ki, Arey, remember we played this
Acha.
with you like 2 years
Wow.
back, 3 years back. Yeah, yeah. And we're like, haha. I mean, we're
Yeah.
like collars up,
Yeah.
okay, wow.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
good. We are, as humans, how do we learn? Yeah, we learn when we are having fun. If I ask you, Ravneet, today, what are the best memories in your life? It is of times when you're relaxed, you're having fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And then if in that moment there's a learning, it will stay with you.
Right.
That's the philosophy.
Nice. Nice. So your games are going to be remembered.
Yes.
So it's automatically that's part of a legacy.
Hopefully.
Yeah, yeah. I want to know if there's any direct messaging that you want to share with the people you work in terms of your clients. Maybe these are HRs or these are founders or CEOs or CXOs, whoever these are. In the current context or in terms of leadership mainly, building future leaders and spending money on learning and development of their teams, which they at some level everybody does. Automated trainings and online trainings, which now AI is doing it for you.
Yeah.
But especially what you do.
So one thing that it's a philosophy of Catalyst, and I can't say it enough, so I'll say it again. Our philosophy is it's play that makes us do serious stuff better. Okay, so the moment we are faced with as a leader, maybe we are faced with a very critical problem. We feel that it's too serious. How can we laugh about it? How can we have fun about it? Challenge that thought.
Yeah.
The moment we learn to play with our problems, that's when solutions emerge. The moment I become tense, it's like a sponge. आप अगर sponge को tense कर दो, वो पानी absorb नहीं करेगा. New perspectives won't come.
Yeah.
The moment you relax the sponge, you absorb a lot of perspectives. You absorb a lot of water, na?
Yeah.
We are like that.
Yeah.
So whenever, the more serious the problem, I would say the more play or relaxed you have to be. And if play is the way to relax, that's the way to relax. In our experience, being able to convert a business problem into a simulation which is outside you and you're experiencing it outside you, it simply makes the whole process of thinking through it easier, more relaxed. But if you stick with a problem like a very serious, then you're stuck in a rut. So I want to
Yeah.
remind everyone that the next year is challenging. Let's face it.
Yeah.
Whichever industry you're in, whichever country you're in, I don't think anyone is going to escape this. Remember the power of play.
Yeah.
That's what I want to say.
Yeah. And that's what I still remember from our one of the communications conversations when I was taking up the current role of be the
Yeah, young Indians.
chair of Young Indians, and then this work that I do, and then all other things is just to keep having fun.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only way to keep calm.
Keep calm, absolutely. And I remember I told you, make sure your EC has fun.
Yeah, yeah.
They don't think of this
Yeah.
as a burden.
Yeah, and then I get to see it because now let's say
everyone's
everyone's
having-
coming together
Yeah,
and
yeah.
traveling together. So I hope they are having fun, or
Yeah,
we'll
yeah,
make
of
sure that
course.
all of us would have fun. so the key takeaway that I'm taking is to invest in experience,
Yes.
not like an online Excel training, but
Oh, yes.
maybe this training or whatever. It's more about your investment in the experience of
Yes,
that's how
yes,
people remember what they learned or what they are doing.
Correct.
Or
And
whatever.
trust your people to discover their learnings. People will discover. You don't have to tell them anything.
Yeah.
That, here is how to manage time. They will discover, they're intelligent. Just like when an author writes a book, they trust that my reader will figure out the book, right? Trainings are designed like that. You have an intelligent group sitting there. Allow them to learn. Don't restrict them with your framework, your theory.
And you are learning yourself, and every day we are learning something or the other. So we spoke of AI, we spoke of your early days, we spoke of the COVID times and how this has been the busiest year for the
Yeah,
Catalyst.
yeah.
And all of this happening, you also achieved your Ironman goal. Another layer of learning added,
Yeah, yeah.
while preparing for it and actually doing it and afterthoughts and now meeting people. So everything.
Yeah.
What I want to ask is, what are you excited about in the future of learning, or especially in India? You've seen a lot
Yeah, yeah.
from
yeah.
being employability to
Yeah.
induction phases to
Yeah.
becoming a leader.
I think in the next 1 year, and I'm very clear about this, I'm most excited about integrating AI into, like I said, the flow of everyday life. Yeah. And in our trainings also, in our games as well. That's probably the the thing that is most challenging and most exciting for us. Because there is no running away from AI.
Yeah.
It is part of our lives already.
Yeah.
Yeah. How can we integrate that into meaningful learning in the right way, at the right time, for the right reason? If we can figure that out and make that integration happen, I think, we are set for the next generation of learners.
Wow. Well, that's very powerful. Yes. Thank you for your
Thank you
time
so
today.
much.
So yeah, great to have you here. Thank
Thanks
you
so much, Ravneet. It
Thanks.
was a pleasure. As usual, chatting with you is always a
Likewise.
pleasure. Thank
Yes.
you.
There's this moment in the conversation where Preeti says something I haven't been able to shake. She says the more serious the problem, the more playful you need to be. And she compares it to a sponge. When you squeeze it tight, nothing gets in. The moment you let it go, it absorbs everything. I think most of us do the opposite. The harder things get, the tighter we grip. We schedule more meetings, we work longer hours, we push harder, and the thing we actually need, the space to think clearly, is the first thing we sacrifice. 15 years of building games that change how leaders think, an Ironman finish line she almost gave up on, and a team that hit their highest numbers the year she finally stepped back. That's the story behind Preeti Agarwal. If this conversation made you think about someone in your life, a founder, a manager, someone navigating a transition where they weren't ready for, send it to them. That's the best thing you can do with this episode. I'm Ravneet Oberoi. This is the story behind. See you in the next one.